Hello, my dear friend. I hope you are doing great. Welcome back to my channel. If you have not subscribed it, please subscribe it. Press the bell icon. Hit the like button also. Friends, as you know, we have already covered up to Article 75. Means we were talking about the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers. Now I am going to talk about the Parliamentary Committee. It plays a very significant role because whenever we are talking about the decision making, if you would have seen in the newspaper or in the TV channels that so many protests are happening during regarding the Citizenship Amendment Act and regarding Farmer Act. But if for my consideration, if like in my view, if there would have been deliberation on the parliamentary rule and bills, definitely right now we are not we would not have facing such type of difficulties in our society. For that that important discussion we are having provision of the parliament committee. And like if I would ask you that what is good for the decision making, some people would say yes, it is very easy to take decision if only one person is taking decision. But some people say yes, it is not worthy to take decision individually. You have to take consent of the so many people. There would be great rule or great thing would come out of the discussion. Some people would say, or some people would proponent such type of things. But is that possible to take a decision like a 130 crore, like if we are having population 130 crore, then if a one single person is taking decision on the behalf of the 130 crore people, then definitely it would be a very folly task. And the constitution is totally about the aspiration of the people. And if one people is not able to complete or fulfill the aspiration of the people, how can it possible that he would take decision unilaterally? Means if I will talk about the government, the central government is taking decision unilaterally, then it would be detrimental for the our, or it can be pernicious for our democracy. That's why our constitution made has such type of provision. We are having that parliamentary committee in our constitution. Parliament committee plays a very significant role in our democracy system. That's why we have to take consideration of the parliament committee. If I will talk about the parliament committee, that you might have seen in the news that yes, USA is denying us to import oil from the Iran. That comes under the external affairs ministry. Even like purchasing of oil is comes under the finance ministry. Means each and every task involves several ministries. That and it is very awkward to take decision unilaterally. If finance ministry is taking decision individually, then it would be a great folly. That's why each and every ministry have to give consent, then only we would able to import crude oils. Or you can take another example also, if we are going to build any strategic relationship with the another country, then we have to import some defense equipment more than 1,000 crore rupees. Then ministry of external affairs would interact between them, and even defense ministry also comes into play. That's why for the cohesion or the consent of the all the ministry, we are having provision of the parliament committee. And first of all, I will discuss the parliament committee. Right now, in the past, we were having in the UPA government, we were having 13 parliament committee. Or even in the 2014 itself, we were having only 6 parliamentary committee. But right now, our prime minister came up with this such type of provision. We are having right now 8 parliament committee. Now I am going to discuss each and everything very meticulously manner. We are having the cabinet committee on appointments. The who is the head of the I want to tell you that we have to remember each and every parliament committee and the head of the parliament committee, and what is the main task of the parliamentary committee we have to discuss. That cabinet committee on parliament, the cabinet committee on appointment, that Prime Minister is the head of the Cabinet Committee on Appointments. Its main task is like to appoint chief of the all defense staff, like chief of the army staff, chief of the air staff, chief of the naval staff. Means, or the even like we will talk about the post of the joint secretary and above, then it is the solely responsibility of the Cabinet Committee on Appointment. Means they would appointment key functionaries for any department. This is the solely responsibility of the Cabinet Committee on Appointments. Now let's move further. The Cabinet Committee on Accommodation. The Committee on Accommodation is presiding by the Ministry of Home Affairs. Means our Amit Shah would be the presiding officer of the Cabinet Committee on Home. And you know that government is having like big bungalow, and they are having government residence, and what in the what manner or on what occasion or for which post, that who would be eligible to get government accommodation, that is solely responsibility of the Cabinet Committee on Home Affairs, Cabinet Committee of on Accommodation. And that Home Minister is the presiding officer of this Cabinet Committee. Now move further, the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. That who is the responsible, that PM is the responsible for the all work done by this committee, because he is the presiding officer of the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. You know that economic affairs generally talk about the importing some FDI in India. Means if government want to improve the FDI or foreign portfolio investment in our economy, then they would come up with this type of policy, and they would hike, or they would decide the fiscal deficit also of the state government, and they would decide what is the like allocation of the money between the departments. That is the solely responsibility of the Cabinet Committee of Economic Affairs. I mean, it deals with the economic affairs of the governments. And that Cabinet Committee of the Parliament Affairs, what are the affairs happening in the parliament itself, that is the sole responsibility of the Cabinet Committee on Economic or Parliamentary Affairs. Then if I would talk that it is headed by the Ministry of Home. Means Amit Shah would be the presiding officer, the Cabinet Committee of Parliamentary Affairs. If I would take an example of the triple talaq, that the triple talaq bill is coming into the parliament deliberation, that is the brainchild of the parliamentary affairs, Cabinet Committee on Parliamentary Affairs. Means what are the agenda for the session, and what are the like bill, or what are the resolution they will or notice would represent in front of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and the deliberation would the responsibility of the Cabinet Committee on Parliamentary Affairs. Means, and the head, it is headed by the our Home Ministers. Only two Parliament committees headed by the Home Minister. One is the Cabinet Committee on Accommodation and the Parliament Affairs. These are the two we have to keep in this in mind, and you may encounter the preliminary questions based on such type of knowledge. Now move further, the Cabinet Committee on Political Affairs. Cabinet Committee on Political Affairs, talking about political affairs we have covered, sorry for that. And that Cabinet Committee on Security. Security means who generally talk about the cordial relationship with the foreign countries, and if we are importing any like equipments that whose cost is near about the 1000 crore rupees and more. Like example we can take of the Rafale deal, and that Department of the that strategically they are solely responsible of the purchasing of the Rafale. And first of all, we have to keep this thing in mind, that we have to remember all the like main key functionaries of this committee, Cabinet Committee on Security, because it can be a prospective question for the mains and preliminary examination. That MHA, Ministry of Home Affairs, is the key functionaries over here, and it is headed by the Prime Minister, and all the four like key cabinet minister would be the part of the Cabinet Committee on Security, because it plays a very significant role for the administration of the own security purpose of our country and sovereignty of our country. Defense Minister and the Ministry of Finance and MEA, the Ministry of External Affairs, would be the key functionaries here in the Cabinet Committee on Security. And you know that internal and external security comes under this provision. Means what we have to, which force we have to deport, or we have to like put there, or we have to take decision on the internal security and external security, that comes under the jurisdiction of the Cabinet Committee on Security. And even like a political affairs, we were talking about the center and state relationship, and but we were not talking about the internal security and the external security. Cabinet Committee on Security is the like authority who decide that what decision we have to take regarding security. Now jumps to the Cabinet Committee on Investments. This committee came into existence in the 2018 itself, and Cabinet Committee on Investment, because we were having crunch of the employment in the society, and that economic revival was the main fund at that point of time. That's why our Prime Minister came with the two type of Cabinet Committee: Cabinet Committee on Investment and Cabinet Committee on Employment. First, the investment task is to identify the key projects with regard to infrastructure and manufacturing, because these are the like employable, or these are the huge requirement of the manpower would be there in the infrastructure and the manufacturing, and this can like regenerate employment in the society or in our country. And Cabinet Committee on Employment is that its key function is to provide skills to our Indian population, because till the time we would not have like a skills in our engineers, how can it possible we will deploy them on the certain type of task? That skill imparting is the sole responsibility of the Cabinet Committee on Employment. And like during lecture I have used that this task is the sole responsibility of the Cabinet Committee on so and so, because they are not going to like to do, or they are not going to work as a executive there, because their work or their task is to form legislation. They would form, or they would come up with this type of legislation that would work in the same domain which we have discussed. That is all about the Cabinet Committee on the Parliamentary Affairs and Security, Cabinet Committee on Appointment and Accommodation and Employment in Investment. Please keep this thing in your mind. And if friends, as you know, we have already covered about the Parliament Committee or the Cabinet Committee on the Parliament Affairs and other committees, because it's a short lecture right now. Like I am covering the Attorney General of India this as this part of the video. That Attorney General of India is the comes under the Article 76 AGI. Attorney General of India means he would be responsible for the representation of the government in the judiciary system. Means you can say it's a government lawyer, but please keep this thing in mind, he is not a government employee. It's a constitutional position, but other like a Solicitor General of India and these are not constitutional body, they are the executive body. They have created by the other constitutional body. We can consider them other constitutional body. And Attorney General of India, like you know that highest number of the cases filed against the whom, that is the government of India, and that's why we are in the requirement of the to represent government in the courts. That's why we have created such type of provision that he would act as a lawyer of the government. He would represent president or government or like PM and Council of Minister in the court itself. And even like Article 143 talks about the advisor of the president. Means sometimes president can seek advice on any matter from the Supreme Court, and who would represent president in the court, that is the Attorney General of India, who is solely responsible to represent the president in the Supreme Court, and he would seek advice on the any matter. If I would take example of the 2G scam, that point of time that 2G cases were filed or rejected, because that point of time government was allocating 2G spectrum on the basis of the first come first serve basis, but there was no auction. And that advice is tendered by Supreme Court to the president that you should allocate 2G spectrum on the basis of the auction. Auction is the right way to distribute 2G spectrum in the public. And even that was a deliberation of the Supreme Court regarding 2G spectrum distribution. Even appointment, what is the appointing authority of the Attorney General of India? President is the authority to appoint Attorney General of India, but that is the nominal head of our constitution, and he would act aid and advice of the Prime Minister headed Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister. It means advice would be the government only, then only they would represent AGI, president would appoint AGI. What are the qualification to be an Attorney General of India? What should I say, that in the future you would ask me that can I appoint a Attorney General of India? No, but there are specific requirement to be appointed as a Attorney General of India. The first of and foremost requirement, he should be the citizen of India, and the second requirement, he should have done practice minimum 5 years as a judge, any court of India, High Court or it may be Supreme Court. Or the third qualification may be he would have done practice for the 10 years any court of the law. And the next one means all the qualification in the or itself, means any one of the qualification if person is having, then president would appoint him on the advice of the Prime Minister and Council of Minister. The other qualification is that he should be distinguished jurist in the view of the president. Means if president is considering the person is the supreme or eminent jurist, then definitely he would eligible to become an Attorney General of India. And next, that it is the responsibility and duty of the Attorney General of India that he should give advice whenever president asks to do so. Means if president is rule is imposed, let's suppose an example of the West Bengal. If governor is sending report to the president, yes, these are the things happening in the West Bengal, and you have to impose the president rule in the West Bengal. But all the reports sent by the governor may be asked, or the whatever reports have been sent to the president, they may ask in the judiciary system, or means that West Bengal government can go up to the judiciary and they seek justice for them. That point of time, Attorney General of India would suggest, yes sir, you are not supposed to impose a president rule in the West Bengal, because whatever reports provided by the governor is not fit to impose that president rule in West Bengal. Means it is the responsibility of the Attorney General of India to aid and advise to the president and Council of Ministers, because he would have knowledge of the legal system. That's why he would act as a advisor of the president also. Means each and every time Attorney General of India should have consulted. And even we can take example of the Rafael investigation also, that government have done all the things in the right manner. They are spending people money or the taxpayer money in the correct manner. That is the funda of the government, and that funda should be represented by the Attorney General of India in the court itself. Then this is the task of the Attorney General of India. And that we have to keep some important points regarding this thing, age limit for the Supreme Court judge is highest age limit is 65, but this clause is not implemented on the Attorney General of India, because K.K. Venugopal is almost 88 years of old, and that qualification or that criteria is not fit for the K.K. Venugopal. How? because generally when we are having Attorney General of India, they may be retired judge also. That's why we are not imposing the 65 years of age cap on the Attorney General of India selection. Now Attorney General of India is he is not a cabinet member. We have to keep this thing in mind. He is a not cabinet member, still he can take part any proceedings of the our legislation or parliament or Lok Sabha Rajya Sabha, we can say that. But he is a part of the executive union. We have to keep this in mind. He is a part of the executive union, and he would remain in the post till the president doctrine of the pleasures, means till the time president would in the requirement of the doctrine of the pleasure, he would remain there on the post. And you know that president is working on the aid and advice of the council of minister and the prime minister, means it's totally depend upon the prime minister and council of minister willingness that up to what time he would remain in the office. That is called doctrine of the pleasures. Now even he can audience any court proceedings. It cannot be happens with the Attorney General of India. He would not have a locus standi if any one of the case, but he may go any of the court proceedings. If tomorrow there would be a court case in the Kerala High Court, then he would solely authorized to attend the Kerala High Court case also, means he is having authority to be an audience in any case. Or he can do private practice also, but in the civil cases only, because civil cases generally happens against the private individuals. And if I would talk about the criminal cases, there would be the one stakeholder would be the state, means that central government may be, or it can be a state government. But Attorney General of India is not authorized to fight against the state government or the central government till the time he would not seek permission from the government. This is the clause. We have to keep this thing in mind. And even its Attorney General post is not comes under the government servant, means he is not a government servant, but he is having all the facility along with him provided by the legislation. And even his payment on all parks are decided by the president itself. Now because we are having a number of cases filed against the government, and he is the sole responsible to represents the government in the in the sphere of the judiciary system. To assist him, we have created the assisted him Solicitor General of India and Additional Solicitor General of India. And already I have told you that is the additional constitutional post, and AGI is a constitutional post. We have to keep this thing in our mind for the exam perspective. And how many Solicitor General we can appoint, it is the total discretion of the president. And you know that president is working on the behalf of the prime minister and the council of minister, means that is the totally responsibility of the Attorney General of India. That is all about the Attorney General of India. And friends, I'm scrolling for your reference so that you guys can read whatever I have taught you from here. Even I have provided the list of the Attorney General of India till now. And friends, whatever I am teaching you, I am speaking in front of you here, you can refer from this PDF also. And that's why even you can take screenshot for the data here. And if you are liking my initiative, please share among your friends. And even it would be a great thing for me if you are liking my initiative, and it would act as a motivating factor for me. Thanks for watching. I will come tomorrow with lot of knowledge. Bye.